Hey hobby friends, welcome back to my channel. I have been collecting Warhammer miniatures since 3rd edition of Warhammer 40k, well over 20 years ago. So needless to say, I own quite a few miniatures. My wife may even say too many miniatures. This video is the second video in a two-part series sharing my collection of miniatures that I have accumulated since I initially got into the hobby. In the first video of the series, I went over my 3 Chaos Armies, which include Death Guard, World Eaters, and my 40k Sons of Horus, or as I learned from a viewer of my last video, they're known as the True Sons in 40k. This video will showcase my Xenos Armies, which include Tyranids, Necron, and my favorite race of the 40k universe, the Orcs. As you can tell, I'm a fan of the Orcs. The purpose of these videos is to catalog my collection and to sort of act as a checkpoint that I can reference later on to see how far I've come in my hobby journey. I'm really excited about this one. I started my Warhammer journey with Orcs back in 3rd edition, so I've accumulated quite a few models since then. If you can hear me better in this video, that's because I picked up a microphone. Well, let's get started. First, we'll start with my smallest army in my collection, which is the Tyranids. My Tyranid collection basically just consists of the Leviathan box. When Leviathan first came out and I saw the sculpts of the new Tyranids, I thought they were so cool looking, and the Screamer Killer classic model updated looks amazing. At some point I do want to paint that. Well, at some point I want to paint all of it, but it has kind of taken a back seat in my collection just because there are other things that I'm currently playing or I'm just more interested in painting at the moment. So these guys are kind of just in a storage box at the moment, but I do want to get to them at some point, maybe later this year. We'll see. But I'll go ahead and go through the collection just in case you're not already familiar with the Leviathan box. So up front, I have 2 squads of the Termagants with, I believe they're called the Flesh Borer, 2 Ripper Swarm bases. I have the Winged Tyranid Prime, 3 Von Ryan's Leapers, Barbgaunts, Nerogaunts, the Screamer Killer, of course, such a crazy cool model, the Psychophage, and the Neuro Tyrant. As of right now, I don't really have plans on expanding my Tyranid collection. I mean, there are a few that I do like that I may want to paint at some point, but as you'll see in my Orc army, I have a large Horde army, and I don't really want to get another large Horde army, mainly because of lack of space in my place. But I love the designs of these models. They are very cool. I cannot wait to paint them. Like I said, especially the Screamer Killer is very cool. I did paint a Death Leaper for my brother's birthday back in July of last year. I did make a video on that. And the Von Ryan's Leapers do look very similar with like the big like scything talons and stuff. The new Tyranid range is very cool. Yeah, so I don't really have plans on expanding too much. I may get one of the Norn Emissaries. Those guys are super cool as well. Maybe a Trigon at some point. Just really awesome big centerpiece model, but mainly just to paint them, not really to expand the army. So we'll see. But this is my Tyranid collection. Next, we have my Necron collection. Now, Necron was an army that I purchased with the intention of just collecting. I wasn't as interested in playing in games with them. That may change in the future. I just thought their aesthetic was really cool. I love the whole like skeletal sci-fi robots. And some of these models like the Canoptek Doomstalker, the Reanimators, the Wraiths. I mean, like there's so many like cool models in this range, and I don't even know how many different characters they have. There's so many different characters, but even like the Doom Scythe and Night Scythe, I think those are so cool looking. Just flying croissants. Yeah, so let's go ahead and run through it. So in these 2 corners, I have 2 big blobs of warriors with the 2 different weapon options. I have 30 on this side and I have 20 on this side. In the front, I have 24 Scarab bases. Most of them are painted. I did acquire some of these other ones after I painted the fully painted ones, and that's why they're not painted yet. Here I have 5 flayed ones, 2 10-man squads of Immortals. Again, different weapon options just to give myself some variety. 4 Crypto Thralls, Locust Heavy Destroyer, 10 Death Marks, 2 of the Canoptek Doomstalkers, 2 Spiders. I'm actually magnetizing the weapon or the thing on their torso, thorax. I don't know. Magnetizing those, and that's why there's no thing up there right now. I think I have most of the weapon options that I'm magnetizing in this bag here, which also includes the weapon options for the Doom Scythe and Night Scythe. I only have one, I think, that is fully magnetized as of right now. The other two I do still have to do, so eventually I will go ahead and attach those. I have 5 Triarch Praetorians, 9 Scorpec Destroyers, 3 Ophidian Destroyers, 2 Reanimators, 10 Lich Guard, 2 squads of Tomb Blades, again with different weapon options, and then I have a bunch of characters here. 2 Royal Wardens, 2 Overlords with the Resurrection Orb, 2 Overlords with the Tachyon Arrow. I have a Chronomancer, a Psychomancer, again one of my favorite models in the army. I love the whole like digital face that's coming out, it's so freaking cool. 2 of the Scorpec Lords, 2 Plasmancers, and a Cryptek. I do also have a partially built Catan Shard of the Nightbringer, and in this box I have some more unbuilt warriors, which I will probably build as these guys over here just to have more variety in my warriors. So I think in this box is a 3rd set of the Indominus models, so another of the Scorpec Lord. I think they're already here, but a lot of it is unbuilt, or I just didn't feel the need to have a 3rd one, so I might just use those as bits. But yeah, that's the entire army as of right now. Oh wait, dang it. Now, as far as expanding the army or future plans of expanding the army, I don't have any as of right now, just because, again, Necron are more of a collection army for me, not so much a gaming army, so I'm not really in a rush to expand on it. I would like to get what I have painted first. Next to my Tyranids, these guys are kind of just taking a back seat while I paint some of my other armies in the meantime. But seeing it all out in the open like this is very cool. I mean, you can kind of see like the scale of some of these taller models, the Stalker, the Reanimators, the Canoptech Doomstalkers. I mean, it's so cool seeing how many different units this range has. Very cool. Really love this army. But yeah, that is my Necron army. And lastly, we have the pride and joy of my collection, my Orc army. Now you're probably thinking, Bobby, that's a lot of models, but it's not super impressive. This is only half of it, maybe less than half of it. So this is going to be part A of my Orc army, and then we'll go ahead and do part B, and I'm not sure if a part C is needed, but we'll see when we get there. So a lot of what you see here is the models that I collected back pretty much around 3rd edition, 4th edition. There's a lot of metal miniatures here, which haven't been around for a while. So let's go ahead and go through what you see here. We'll start with the massive blob of Orc Boys up front. I actually do not know exactly how many models I have, but I do know it is over 100. I think at one point I had 2 or 3 max squads of Slugger Boys and 1 max squad of Shooter Boys. This is back when the max squads were 30. So I know I have over 100 boys here. Some models I did convert with the Warhammer Fantasy Art Boys kit. That way I can add some variety in how they look and like the size of the boys and all that. I also have some of the metal big shooters and rocket launchers as well. So these are very old. They're even on the old base sizes. I believe these are the 28mm base sizes. So at some point I do want to update the base sizes. I don't think I'm going to repaint them, even though my painting style is a little bit different. A lot of what you see here was actually painted by my brother back in the day, because he used to have fully painted armies, and I was very bad at painting up my armies, so he didn't want to play against the gray army, so he actually painted most of my Orc army. 30 Ludas on this side. Some of these I did get recently, that's why they are on the updated base sizes. For my Orc army, I wanted to do like max size units. That's why I have so many boys, that's why I have so many Ludas. I'm not sure what those squad sizes are now, but they used to be 10, so I have 3x10, 10 Storm Boys back here, 2 mech guns. I don't recall what this mech gun is called again, but I have 2 built mech guns, a 3rd mech gun, brand new in box, that I'll just build exactly like these ones. A massive blob of knobs. I don't remember how many knobs I have in here exactly. That will be something that we'll have to count after this video. 2 Daka Jets, partially painted here. I do want to get to them at some point. I do have the bases and everything, but because I haven't painted the models themselves, I haven't done the bases, so I just have them stored away. Down here I do have another brand new in-box Burnas. So this is the first 5 of the Burnas that I'll be adding to my army, and then eventually I'll need to get 25 more. This is all metal, of course, not including the dreadnoughts here and the battle wagon, but 8 Mega Knobs here, completely metal, classic, the metal Snick Rod, and metal Commandos. I thought they did have a bomb squig. I have 2 bomb squigs. I have the old tank buses here as well, so I kind of just spread the bomb squigs. This is the old metal tank buster kit, and I do have also the older blister pack ones that came with 2 metal tank buses. I think it was actually way before this box set came out. 3 shock attack guns, also metal. I used to love playing the shock attack guns. Actually, with the Ludas and shock attacks, I used to make a mech list. Def Dreads, I have a bunch of Killicans, which you'll see in the next group. It was just super fun to create a fluffy mech list. I do have a couple big mechs here, again, like the classic metal ones, the custom force field. This guy, I'm not even sure that, I think he just has a custom Mega Blast. I'm not even sure if he has anything extra, but they were really cool. I really like the sculpts, just classic models. 2 of the classic metal Pain Boys with their Grot Orderlies, metal Weird Boy, and a metal Shaman that was from Warhammer Fantasy. I used to run it as a Weird Boy. Classic metal Zagstrek, who unfortunately had his metal arms and one of his feet broken off during transportation, so I will have to glue those back on. That was one of the unfortunate things about metal miniatures, is that they were really hard to glue together. A lot of the bigger models, I think, were pinned together just because they're so heavy, and so like the glue just didn't really hold all that well. A couple Def Dreads back here, a Battle Wagon here. Here are some of my favorite models. The old metal Gaskull, super cool dude. I mean, I love the newer model, of course, too, but love the classic model. Just something about classic models are really cool. And then one of my favorite models, Nazdrag. Since they updated Gaskull recently, I was hoping that at some point they will update Nazdrag. I may just have to convert my own, which I don't mind doing, but I was really big into the Bad Moons back in the day, and I really like his model. Hopefully at some point they bring him back. I would like to see a new Wazdaka as well. That'd be really cool. So this is the first wave of my orc army. Lots of bodies, lots of knobs and boys and all kinds of stuff. So let's go on to part B. And here is wave 2 of my orc army. Spoiler alert, there is wave 3. I'm actually impressed with how many models I have. I mean, this is the army that I have been collecting the longest, so it does make sense. And you know, every time something new comes out for the army, I feel like I have to get 3 of them because of course. So some of the bigger things I don't really need 3 of. I am a big fan of the Evil Sons and the Speed Freaks and everything. I even have the Evil Sons logo tattooed on my left shoulder. This is kind of like my Speed Freaks army with some extra armor in the back. Let's go ahead and go through it. So over here in this corner, I have, I believe, 18 war bikes. That's not excessive or anything. 2 of the Shock Jump Dragstas and 2 of the Boomdaka Snazwagon. One is built or partially built. Have it in subassembly right now. And then I have one that is currently still in shrink wrap. These are the only 2 cars that I only have 2 of. Here I have a Death Killer War Trike, missing a base. I'm not sure where this base is, so I gotta find that. Oh, and with the Death Killer War Trike, I don't really need 3 of those. Maybe I'll get a second one at some point, but just one's fine. I think it's kind of cool that he's leading all the Speed Freaks into battle. And right behind him, I do have 3 custom booster blasters. I have this group of friends that we do like a hobby Secret Santa every year. So this was the one that was actually given to me this past Christmas. I think it looks awesome. It looks so cool. I love the red flames and everything on it too. Very nice details. Right behind them, the Scrap Jets. Again, this one was also painted by a friend of mine for Hobby Secret Santa. I believe this one was the year before this one. It's awesome to have painted models from friends. It's like having artwork from a friend in my army. I just think it's so cool. And then on this corner, we have 3 of the Rocket Truck Squig Buggies. Personally, my favorite vehicles, mainly because they have a bunch of squigs and I love squigs. And this is actually one of the only squads I have that's fully painted by me in my army. I love that squad. Right behind them, I have 12 Def Coptas. They are mainly the newer Def Coptas, but I do have 3 of the Assault on Black Reach ones. Another converted Def Dread. This one also has a magnetized torso, not really for transporting, but mainly just to swivel him. Whee! And then back here we have 9 Killicans, again also fully painted and magnetized weapons. And then here in this corner, this is a Forge World tank. And excuse me, I don't remember what it's called because I know there was like 2 or 3 of them that were kind of similar. My brother actually bought me this for a birthday a long time ago. It was actually my first Forge World model ever. Some of the pieces that you see are missing. I do have them. They're actually here. being transported by the Squigoth, which is another one of my Forge World models. I don't have his horns, unfortunately, the ones that go on the side. I might have to see if I can get those 3D printed somewhere. But yeah, and eventually I do want to get a Gargantuan Squigoth. They're just super expensive. So yep, Squigoth, big tank. I have another battle wagon here that does need some paint. I have an armless Death Dread here. Got him fairly recently, and I wanted to magnetize all of his weapon options, so that's why he is armless. The Big Ed Boss Bunka. I don't know how good it is in game. I've heard it's not very good at all, but it is a very cool centerpiece model for a collection, and of course I had to have it. Then here we have the, I think it's a Gorkanaut. Again, excuse me if I get that wrong. It's either the Gorkanaut or the Morkanaut. I think it's a Gorkanaut though. And then the big boy over here is the Stampa. I got this a while back. Never got around to painting it because, again, back in the day, I wasn't very good at painting my miniatures. He's also lost 2 of his horns. He's also a few bits here and there. I have them somewhere. I gotta find them. Do have a second Stampa back at my parents' place. Not sure where I put it, so I gotta find that. So I do actually have 2 Stampas. But yeah, that's my heavy armor plus Speed Freaks army. Everything is, of course, painted red and some bits of yellow because Evil Sons. That's how I want to paint my entire army. It's actually super cool seeing all the Speed Freak stuff here like this. Like I said, as an Evil Sons fan myself, having all the fast vehicles and stuff just looks so cool all spread out on the table like this. So yeah, this is wave 2. Coming up next, wave 3. And finally, we come to the last wave of my orc collection. It is incredible that I have so many models that I have to do 3 different sections. I would love to see it all out on one table. That would be so cool. But yeah, so this is more of like the newer models. Of course, you see a lot of the Beast Snagas. We have some of the Commandos and stuff. So we have some more of the newer models here. Previously mentioned that I love Squigs. And so when this army came out, and we had these big boys, and we had the Smash of Squigs and the Squig Riders, these massive guys here, of course I had to get 3 of everything immediately. Except for these guys. Obviously I just wanted 1 of each character, but everything else, the Beast Snagas, the Kill Rigs, I just went ham and bought everything. And no regrets. I love them. These guys, like the Squig Hog Riders, are so cool. There's one model that he's missing his back legs, and instead he has a tire back there, so he's like half motorcycle almost. It's so orky, it's so cool. But let's go ahead and run through everything and see what I have in the last wave of my orc army. Let's start over here with a majority of my Beast Snaga boys. I have 40 here. A Beast Boss, I have the Pain Boss, both fully painted. I love the way they came out. That's sort of like how the rest of my army will be. At least the rest of the Beast Snagas will be painted. Here I have 60 Grots with 3 of the Runturds, and then the other 3 Runturds are here just because their staff sticks up a little bit higher so it doesn't fit in my carrying case on this tray. I also have, what's his name? Zogwart, the Runturd Beast Snaga character. On this one over here, we have 10 more Beast Snaga boys, and then Squig Hog Riders. I believe there are 12. 8 plastic Meganobs, Pain Boys, 2 sets of Commandos, led by a plastic Snickrock, 5 Flash Gits. Flash Gits are super freaking cool. Space Orc Pirates. Like, how can you get cooler than that? I have actually 5 more here, still in shrink wrap that I do want to build at some point, with a, was it Resin Captain Badrock. I actually just bought him maybe like a few weeks ago. Someone was selling him on Facebook Marketplace, and I was like, yeah, I need that. Here in the middle, these are some of the newer Combat Patrol orcs. So I have 20 of the Orc Boys fully painted. I have the War Boss and Mega Armor fully painted as well. I think we used the Assault on Black Reach War Boss with the Power Claw. This was actually painted way back in the day, and I did end up finding someone that was selling another one that was just gray plastic, so I do want to paint up a newer, sort of like compare the painting styles of where I started and where I'm at now. One of the other war bosses with the attack squig, because of course squigs, Big Mech with the custom force field, and then back here we have good old Gaz and Makari. He is already hiding. This guy's gonna be so fun to paint. It's one of those, like, you know, I get to compare where my painting style was painting the old Gaz and now with the newer one. And then I have one of the orc characters here. I forget his name. I always forget his name. I forget his name as well. Something Blackhawk or something with Princess the Squig. Great name for a squig. So that's most of the infantry. 6 war trucks, because again, max units. I might use 6 in a game at some point. Who knows? These 3 were painted by me. Of course, I have one that is unbuilt, a gray one, and then this one was also a hobby Secret Santa gift. You can see a pattern. People like to paint orc vehicles for me, and I love that. Please do more. I have the 2 Beast Boss on Squigosaur characters. One of them is Mozrog, and one is just the regular Beast Boss on Squigosaur. 3 of the Smasher Squigs. I would have had a 4th. I did give one away for a friend's birthday. 3 kill rigs / hunter rigs. The difference being the tower for the Psyker. I don't have any of the weapons or the guys glued on yet because they are still in sub-assembly. They're not even glued to the base, and the squig himself is actually not attached either, so that way I can get all around those areas, because trying to paint this guy while he's glued in here, it would be a hassle. And I'm thinking about magnetizing all of the weapon options as well as the war tower. I can make them whatever I want. That is the last of my orc collection. Again, super crazy to see how much I have accumulated over the past, again, 20 years. I did have a lot more of the metal stuff. Back in the day, I had the metal dreadnoughts, I had metal killicans, metal zap cannons, but at some point I decided that I was gonna move away from the metal just because they do get very heavy to carry. And back in the day when I did have a lot of the metal miniatures, my carrying case was super freaking heavy. So at some point I did start to sell off some of them, especially as some of the models got updated with plastic miniatures. I'm actually glad that I kept some of the old like war bosses and characters. It's just cool to see classic models. I'm not really sure how many points or even how many models are in the army. That is something I will have to calculate later on. I started with orcs when I first got into the hobby, and just kind of seeing where my collection has gotten to at this point, it just fills me with joy. Honestly, back in the day in like in 3rd edition and stuff, they had like more funky rules for the orcs. Everything had mishaps essentially. Like you can take looted vehicles, and there was like, I think it was called Big Red Button, where you had to roll to see if the vehicle would move and shoot normally, or whether it would just drive straight forward as fast as possible. And I think it could possibly run over your own units as well. Shock attack guns used to be able to fire themselves if they mishap. I mean, the rules around the orcs, the lore, it just felt so enjoyable. And that's why I still love this army even now, and that's why I still collect it and I still expand on this army. You know, my other 2 Xenos armies, I'm not really expanding right now just because my focus is more on my Chaos armies. Orcs are different. If I do see a nice deal on some orc models, I will add to my collection, only because this collection is my ever-growing collection. I basically just want to get to the max units that I can potentially have in a game. So if I can only have 3, I'm only gonna have 3. If I can have up to 6, I'll have 6. If new models do come out, chances are I will purchase them, and they will stay in shrink wrap until I'm ready to build them. This is like one of those armies where I kind of have to have everything now. That is my orc collection. That is the end of the collection series. If you did enjoy the video, please like the video. Please take a look at some of the other videos I made. I don't really call it tutorials, but I do record myself painting and showing my process along the way. Subscribe if you want to see more, and comment what you think of the collection series. Thank you so much for being here and staying to the end of the video. And until next time, see you later, hobby friends.